Our next speaker is our final speaker. Not a lot of need for a big introduction. This is a friend of mine whom I am proud to say I roped into political activism a number of years ago, dragged him in and to some degree kicking and screaming, made him president of one of my organizations, motivated him to get involved in the leadership program of the Rockies, and allowed him to reach the conclusion on his own that I need to do more. I need to contribute. I need to serve my community, and decided to run for the United States House of Representatives. And representing this district, which has been represented by the same person for 20 years, and in that time you can look around and see how well that's worked out, said, I'm going to take my message down to the streets. I'm not going to win this by running ads on TV. I'm going to win this by knocking on doors, standing on street corners, and talking to people about why we need a change of direction. And I'm proud to say it's working, and I'm happy to say he is going to defy the odds in November and assume a new job in Washington, D.C., Casper Stockham.
Thanks, everyone. I want to thank all my VIP guests. I want to thank the speakers today, and I want to thank all of you for coming out. This has been fantastic. You guys are awesome. It's a new day in 5 Points, amen? Amen. All right. We got an impromptu deal going on. I appreciate that. In 1978, I was fresh out of the Air Force basic training, and I was stationed at Lowry Air Force Base. During our security briefing, they told us areas to stay away from. But guess what? 5 Points was on that list, right? But being young and being fresh out of basic training, the first place we went was 5 Points. In 1988, I was exiting the Air Force, and I was trying to decide where I wanted to live. I chose Colorado, and then I eventually moved to Denver. And I was working literally just right down the street. You can almost see the building right down the street over here. And I was working to help the community, working in the black community. I was working for a publication called the Black Pages. And we would go around to different black-owned businesses and try to get them advertising in the magazine so we could get them more exposure. Because the same thing that was going on back then is happening today. Corrupt politicians, business people, and everybody else you can think of have been destroying this community. It was going on way back then. It's still going on. It's sad. It's something needs to be done about it. Something needs to be done about it. During my time at 5 Points, I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Selman, John Selman. He was loved literally by everybody. He could walk down the street and people would come out of their shops just to say hi. He was just that kind of a guy. And I had the chance to hang out with him and meet him a couple of times and talk to him, and I was just fascinated by his stories. So when I heard that he passed away back in 2011, of course I wasn't happy about it, but Selman's Records has been a place that we could go to in the community for years and years and years. So even though the location is still there, the record store is no more. But that's a tragedy. The tragedy that's happening all throughout Welton Street, all throughout 5 Points. That's a tragedy that's happening right before our very eyes. I'm not happy about that. I had to actually leave the community to make a living because making a living down here is tough. As we all know, the unemployment rate in the black community is extremely high. So you almost have to go somewhere else just to get some employment going on. But I'm also a business person and entrepreneur as well. So I don't have all the answers. In fact, I don't believe anybody has all the answers. I don't believe these are smart people behind me, smarter than I am. I don't think any of us all have the answers. But it was kind of funny because Saturday evening I was at an event, at the Urban League event, and Mayor Michael Hancock was there, and he was talking about the unemployment rate in Denver. He said it was less than 3%. But he also did say that the unemployment rate in the black community is in double digits. So my question is, why is that? How can the unemployment rate downtown, which you can see right on Welton Street downtown, how can that unemployment rate be 3% or less, and here be double digits? Explain that to me when you have a black mayor and you have a Democrat governor. How is that possible? It's not all the Republicans' fault. Republicans don't. This is the most Republicans that have been here ever. Ever. So you can't blame Republicans because they're not here. You got to blame people who run this city, who run this area. That's who you have to blame. Here's what I can promise you. I can promise you my attention and my dedication to make a difference starting right here. This is where we draw the line in the sand. This is where I draw the line in the sand. Hopefully some of you will join me. My goal is to show you what servant leadership looks like. I can guarantee you that there is very few servant leaders going on in Colorado and definitely in D.C. They have no clue what servant leadership looks like. If we're ever going to make a positive change, we need to put aside old, tired R&D labels and excuses and start to work, eat, laugh, cry, and pray together. Amen? We need to do that as one people, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And when those things are denied to someone, to anyone, all of us have to speak up and say something. That's the challenge. I'm almost done. My goal today is simple. Call attention to the Selma's record location for preservation. We're doing that now by having this press conference. Gain support for further plans to improve the Selma's location. We're also going to be working on that. You heard Steve House talk about it. We also have a commitment from the Denver GOP to have an office down here in 5 Points. So understand, that's historic. So not only will my congressional office be here, the Denver GOP and the state GOP will also have an office down here. That's historic. We also want to lay out business recovery ideas to bring prosperity back into 5 Points. And I got to tell you, Republicans know how to do business. So we're going to bring some business back in 5 Points. I'm almost done. So when elected, I will reach out to investors who would join me, hopefully, in restoring the large wall images on the deep rock wall that's right behind me. Those images have been weather-torn and graffitied up for quite some time. We're going to restore those images. It's going to take about $20,000. So I'm going to take some of my personal money and I'm going to ask for 19 or 20 volunteers to help me raise the money to restore those images back to the glory. I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to have my congressional office, hopefully in the Selma's Records location, but if not, it will definitely be in 5 Points. And when elected, I'm going to submit a federal version of Amendment T. Now, Pastor Dell talked about this, no slavery, no exceptions. I'm going to take that measure that's local, and I'm taking it to D.C. That deserves a clap. And that's an amendment that has been put forth by the Greater Denver Ministerial Alliance, Together Colorado, and the Faith Action Network. In order for me to do any of these things, I need your vote. I need your support. I need your time. And I need your heart. We've got to make a difference in this community. I've also signed a voluntary term limit pledge because I'm not a politician, I'm a business guy, and I want to get back to doing business after I'm done. So I'm going to serve 3 terms, and that's it. My opponent has been there forever and a day. She needs to go. She needs to go. In fact, it's time to throw the bum out. Right? It's time to throw the bum out. So we have some press here. Are there any questions that you want to ask myself or any of the speakers here while we have the moment? Yes?
What message are you sending with having all these Republicans come down here today for 5 Points?
So she asked what message am I sending? Hopefully I'm sending a message to the community is that Republicans are not racist, bigoted, homophobic, crazy people. We're just like you. We're just like everybody else. We have kids, we have desires, we have hopes and dreams. We are no different than anybody else in this community. Only maybe our skin color in some of our cases, but in my case, same, right? So we're the same as everybody else. And I want the community to know that we care and we're here. Yes, ma'am. No questions? That's it?